can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night, just to give into the need and leave it all behind. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you own me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Oh, good morning, folks. Thanks for watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. Follow me on Twitter at Peoples_Pundit. It's a nice chilly morning in North Carolina. It's beautiful. All right. Follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the page on YouTube and hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when we're going to go live. And of course, if you're on Facebook, we'd very much appreciate it if you head on over to Facebook and like the page, People's Pundit Daily. A lot of news today. We will get to it. Michigan, all of that. We'll get to that. We will get to Georgia. There is, when I know you guys are chomping at the bit. We'll get to the worst pollsters in a second. Let me just say this about Georgia. All right. We will expect their recount results today. That means nothing. If the Trump campaign wants a recount, they can get a recount and they can ask for a more thorough recount. And I've told you this before. Anyone who tells you anything different is lying. A recount will find a couple thousand ballots, maybe like they found, and whoops, that one netted Trump 900. Whoops, that one netted Trump 500. That'll find that, but that will not find really egregious errors that can have big numbers in the votes and then big changes and impacts on the votes. But also, too, as well, really today, after speaking with a couple of people, it is possible today some of the more, what I think are some of the more valid arguments, which is that it doesn't matter how many people we dig up on the Georgia voter rolls, which we've been doing. Georgia's a part of what we're doing. It doesn't matter if you don't compare their signatures. All right. And it's not just Georgia, but other states as well, where certain rules were changed. Even if like in Wisconsin, for instance, that's a whole different story, but it's very similar to what I'm talking about, where you maybe had a deadlock on a rules change, but they just went ahead with it anyway, right? So these local officials don't get to make these rules. The Secretary of State doesn't get to make these rules. These are done by the legislatures, right? And even where the Republicans, you would see Ronna McDaniel take to Twitter and go, big win. And I would say, load of crap. It doesn't matter. Without oversight, mark my words, they will do it anyway. And they did, didn't they? Right? So that's where they're at in Wisconsin. Trump's campaign paid for a recount in Wisconsin. He will get a recount. And Wisconsin is a bit of a different animal where, even a traditional recount is not as much of a sham process, because recounts are shams, folks. They just take the same damn ballots and they slip them through the same damn tabulators, and that's it. Nobody's checking to see whether or not the ballot is valid. Nobody's checking that. They don't care. They just shove them right through. And that's what happened in Georgia. So you may find another box somewhere where they counted, maybe this precinct had 500 votes, but then they go through and dig through the boxes and there's like another 2,000 votes there. Oh my God, we forgot to count these. Let's feed them through the machine. In 2016, what happened in Michigan and what started to make a difference is that they went through some of the votes, and somebody would say, a clerk would say, I got 3,500 votes. And then when you're actually looking and digging through, because when Democrats ask for something, it's always more thorough. When you're actually digging through, you realize there were not 3,500 votes there, 3,000 votes. There was only 500 votes in that box. So Trump's margin kept actually expanding in some of these recounts in 2016, in particular in Wayne County. And that's why Hillary Clinton abandoned the Jill Stein effort. And that's what happened there. And on November the 28th, she called Trump's election illegitimate and joined the Jill Stein recount. Stacey Abrams did not trail in Georgia by 10,000, but by over 45,000 at the time she first demanded a recount. All right. I mean, is no doubt it's different. And people ask me all of the time, well, should Trump, should he keep fighting? What do you think? What do you think? The answer is a question, folks. The answer is a question. Would Democrats stop? Would Democrats concede if the roles were reversed? They didn't even concede when they had no evidence of voter fraud. They didn't concede when they had no evidence of irregularities of any kind. They didn't even concede when there were not Republican officials, keeping them out of the poll, keeping their poll watchers out of the precincts to tabulate votes. So what the hell do you think? All right. At this point, the man is the leader of a movement. That movement is against the machine. You can't just give up because the machine is too strong. He would betray what his movement stands for. So no. The answer is no. Get over it. And fact of the matter is, if you're a lefty, you should want these to go forward. You should want them to go forward. All right. The Michigan canvassing board initially was deadlocked and could not certify the results. Okay. Let me just give an update on Michigan. And then they were pressured, bullied, and we'll talk about this more after the break. Maybe I'll even run some video. They were pressured, they were bullied, they were doxxed, they were threatened, and then they caved. And we mocked them a little bit yesterday. But then they did the right thing and recanted. They reversed themselves. And I believe two, signed affidavits saying what happened to them. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. You cannot have one of the largest counties in one of the largest Midwest states not certify their election results. And as I told you yesterday, the promise or the condition that the Secretary of State would audit the results of the county is a fraud. It was a lie. It was a sham. It was another tactic. That office has been, I don't even know what the word is, but they have been uncooperative, to say the least. Uncooperative. And in that, it's not just that county, because I don't want to lay it all on Wayne here, because what we're finding, it's not all Wayne County, although it's clear, that they keep popping up over and over and over again. And we're not just talking about the entire county. It's pretty disproportionate. The same clerks keep popping up over and over and over again. So my question is, even if they wind up arguing, well, in the end, we won't count these votes or whatever it is, who did this? Who did this? And how did it get through without anybody notice? Some of them it just doesn't make sense. Some of them appear to be inactive and then reactivated. This is why, and we, again, 2 months we spent talking about this. 2 months. There was no good explanation for these rule changes. There was no good explanation. You invited this kind of stuff to happen. You were inviting it and you were doing it intentionally. That is the only explanation. I mean, this COVID crap. All right. And we will talk more about it in a little bit. But let's move on here real quick. And let's discuss, because I already know about some others in the field already. I am not kidding you. These people who you're going to hear about today, all right, they're already back in the field to, like Reuters and like others, tell you how the Georgia recount's going to go, tell you what Americans think about the aftermath of this election, whether or not they trust it or not. There are people on this list who are right back out in the field right now, and they're going to tell us how you feel about what is going on in the country and how we should move forward. Because, of course, the ultimate narrative is going to be the country wants to move on. Put it away, Donald. Go away, Donald. Go build a library somewhere. The country doesn't want this. And because I suspect that's total bullcrap, we're going to ask if you guys want to. I would like in at least some battleground states, maybe we'll do Georgia first. Maybe we'll do Michigan. But in some battleground states, I would like to poll it. And I would like to see whether the electorate thinks that their state was stolen or not. All right? Because these people, they're worthless. They add nothing to the conversation, and they should not be believed. We went over Reuters specifically yesterday because Reuters put out a poll. They had the nerve, they had the audacity to put out a poll after polling like a bunch of little children. Look, somebody, an election forecaster I was talking to after the election, started going through how bad the poll misses were and, looking at some of their excuses. And he's like, look, a 7-year-old could come within 7 points. 7 for 7, man. In Michigan right now, where this is all going on, they're going to tell us what people in the state of Michigan think, right? We're the worst pollsters in the state of Michigan in 2020. First one up. And this is by no means, first a couple things. This is by no means in order of how bad you are. I'm just going to lay you all out. But you will notice the same names will just keep coming up. And then 2, if I don't tell you specifically, then this is the third-party result. Some of them polled with third-party candidates. Some of them polled without third-party candidates. Why? I don't know. There is zero reason. There is just no reason at all to poll without third parties. The race had other party candidates in it. Head-to-heads are hypothetical fabrications that have nothing to do with the reality of the race. So you don't poll it. You don't. But they did. All right. So if I don't tell you, the results are with the third party candidate. All right. All right. Shocker from yesterday. Morning consult. Horrible. Yet they're about to tell us how the country thinks the election was conducted. All right. In Michigan, morning consult, Biden 52, Trump 45. 1,736 likely voters with what they say was a sampling error plus or minus 2%. So much for the sampling error. So much for the sampling error. New York Times, Biden 49, Trump 41, 856 likely voters, 3.8% sampling error. ABC Washington Post, Biden 51. Again, we're hitting that magical 50 mark. And you remember from yesterday, that is different than when a candidate is below 50. Statistically, it is very significant. What they're telling you is at 44%, Trump could not catch up to Biden at 51. The odds are extremely unlikely. All right. And 789 likely voters, plus or minus 4%. PPP, which we get confused with a lot. All right, the website, PPD, gets confused with public policy polling. One of the worst pollsters ever. Blatantly partisan, although I do get a kick out of some of the questions they ask. Blatantly partisan, a horrible record, and shouldn't even be in an index or aggregated by anybody because of things they've been caught doing before. 54% Biden. 54% Biden. Trump 44. That's a Biden plus 10. 745 likely voters, plus or minus 3.6%. Fox News. The conservative news outlet, Biden 52, Trump 40. 1,032 likely voters, plus or minus 3%. So I get asked all the time by you guys, well, how do I counter the sampling error? How do I counter the sampling error argument? We were within the margin of error. Now, the first part of that is margin of error with how these guys poll is not the proper term. It is not the correct term. It's an incorrect term. And if they're using it, then they're either ignorant or they're trying to deceive somebody. But this is not truly random. None of it is. All right. So, especially not morning consult. Right. So the bottom line is that's number one. Number two, you're outside the sampling error. Biden plus 12 with a plus or minus 3% sampling error is outside the sampling error. Pennsylvania, moving on. Morning consult just keeps coming back. No, Biden 52, Trump 43. You ready for this? 2,686 likely voters, plus or minus 2%. Okay. As somebody who argues that sample size does matter, in polling, size matters. It matters, right? This is not acceptable. I don't know what panel they're using. Maybe I'll dig into it a little bit more, but you better get a new panel provider. You better make sure they're deduped against voter files or something, because this is an epic failure. If you have a sample that large and you come up with a result that bad, then you have only a few reasons for this. Like, you did it on purpose because you're a hack. You're incompetent and a hack. Or three, your data provider is garbage. So I don't know where you got this from. And I was under the impression they have their own panel. Maybe not. But if so, you should just hit the delete button in cPanel right now and get rid of all of them, because it's garbage. It's a waste. It's trash. It's worth nothing. New York Times, again, same names, right? Biden 49, Trump 43. 1,862 likely voters, plus or minus 2.4%. Let me get a sip of coffee here. This is not feasible, folks. These errors are not feasible. I mean, I really, I'm at the point where I really don't know even what else to say. But ABC, Washington Post, Biden 51, Trump 44, 810 likely voters, no sampling error to speak of, even though I did it myself and it should be about 4%. 4.2, 4%, right? Wisconsin, this is a doozies here. It only gets worse, by the way, as we go. It only gets worse. New York Times, again, Nate, just over and over and over again. Mr. Smug, Mr. Hubris, over and over and over. Every damn state where you look at the worst polling that could possibly have been done, there's Nate. Right up there with the crappiest result, or at least one of the crappiest results. Just because you have a corporation backing you up and pumping money into a garbage operation does not make it any less a garbage operation. Biden, 52, Trump, 41. That's a Biden plus 11. 1,253 likely voters. Sampling error, plus or minus 3.2%. Rich, how do I argue with they were inside the sample? Oh, no, they were not. Oh, no, they were not. And with the averages, the only reason the averages are even close to reality, which they were not, but it's really clear. They're all favoring in Biden's direction. The only reason why they weren't all, the averages would have been Biden plus 8, Biden plus 11, if not for the polls that get smeared, attacked, dismissed in the media narrative. So when Fox News runs polls every night or during the day in their prime time, new poll, the status of the race, it isn't insider advantage. It isn't big data poll. It isn't Susquehanna. It isn't Trafalgar, although we got attention late. No, it's not. It's the New York Times. It's Monmouth. It's Quinnipiac. And it's their own crappy poll. CNN, and it's CNN. CNN SSRS. Biden 52, Trump 44. 873 likely voters, plus or minus 3.9%. That's a Biden plus 8 in a state separated by like less than 20,000 votes right now. ABC News, Washington Post, you already know this. Biden plus 17. Plus or minus 4%, 809 likely voters. Biden plus 17. I've already had a number of epic rants about this poll. This is a suppression poll. This is not a real poll. The Washington Post, like Jeff Bezos, is a steaming pile of garbage. This is outrageous. You can't make a mistake like this. I mean, I guess you can, but you shouldn't be a pollster. Like, I could bring in my daughter and she could go through the raw data set and do a better job than this. I'm serious. My kids know enough about what I do. They've sat down, they've watched. They could probably, in it, like attempting to mimic how I do my job, they could do a better job than this. My children. This is it's just crazy. Plus 17. Plus 17. All right, and then that's Reuters from yesterday. As you know, Biden 53, Trump 43. So the general consensus here is the New York Times consensus. Biden plus 11 in Wisconsin. And this is why, and we got a couple more states to go, but the takeaway here is, like I told you yesterday, like news, everybody follows the gray lady in this business. And this time, again, they followed them right off the cliff. But they don't give a damn, and they're going to keep going because I know some of them are in the field right now. This is why Nate is probably the worst pollster of 2020. Okay? I know that if I really matched them up, it would probably be either Quinnipiac or Morning Consult if we just did average miss. But because he had so much money, because they just threw ungodly amounts of money at that crappy operation. Here, what do you need? Which state you want to do? Which state do you want to tell people there'll be 188 million voters nationwide in right now? I mean, because he got his dirty hands in every state and mucked them all up, he's got to be the worst pollster of 2020. And because he had that kind of resource, everybody followed his lead. He has got to be the worst. If we did average misses, like what's the mean, or, if we did it with some other kind of gauge, some other measurement, it would probably be the Quinnipiac or Morning Consult. But they weren't everywhere like he's everywhere. There were some states that they didn't even have a chance to dip into. There was some district like Maine 2nd Congressional District. Hell, he even took a crack there. He's sitting in a cubicle in New York City and knows nothing about the rest of the country, but he decided to take a crack at Maine's 2nd Congressional District, one of the hardest places to poll in the United States. And we'll show you how he did. We'll show you how everybody did. There are too many polls and not enough pollsters. The local pollsters tend to know better about their states. At least generally speaking, and at least we know that there are a few pollsters in a few states, a few areas where if you're running against their grain, you really need to think twice about it. Like me and Matt in Florida. If you don't come up with the same or similar results in the state of Florida than Matt or I, and I'm talking about Matt who gets hired by Fox 5, then you should really be very concerned that you're going to be wrong. Okay, if you get a different result than Ann Selzer in Iowa, you should be very concerned that you are wrong. If you get a very different result than DRI for the Bangor News in Maine's 2nd Congressional District, and by very different, I mean 16 points different in that case, then you should be very concerned that you are going to be wrong. All right, let's move on to Ohio. Quinnipiac. The Q poll. Biden 47. Trump 43. Biden 47. Trump 43. Biden plus 4. a near 13-point up. 1,440 likely voters, supposedly, which I'll elaborate on in a second, 2.6% sampling error. That was on or released on the 2nd of November. The 2nd of November. A few days before, 4 days before, from whatever, they released on October 30th or the 29th. They released another poll in Ohio of 1,186 likely voters. Okay? Are you catching my drift here? Plus or minus 2.9%. That was very close. Trump was at the same spot he was in their final, 43%. And Biden was 1 point higher at 48, I'm sorry. So a Biden plus 5 in Ohio. More than 13-point miss. Why? Because Trump almost won the state of Ohio by, here, I'll give you the exact margin right now. State of Ohio went 53.3% for Donald Trump to 45.3% for Joe Biden. 8 points on the money almost. I rounded to the nearest 10th, so that's why it's not quite the same. All right. So we're talking about a 13-point miss. If you watched yesterday, you know what I think they did here. And I asked them, not so nicely, for their data set. I still want your data set, Quinnipiac, because I am accusing you of fabricating these polls. I think you probably conducted the first one, and then you went out and you got a few hundred more responses, and you slapped that on the original 1,186, called it 1440, and pretended like it was a brand new poll. That's what I'm accusing you of doing. Give me your data sets. Let me run it through a deduper, and I'll apologize if I'm wrong. But until you do, I'm going to call you a fabricator because you fabricated these data sets and you know it. Emerson, sorry, Spencer, but you followed Nate right off the damn cliff. And if you had the cojones to step up and say things that you believe, maybe this industry would be headed in a different direction. But you don't. And now you look like the rest of them. Biden plus 1, Ohio. A 9-point miss, Spencer. No third parties. I don't know what the hell you were thinking there. Biden 49, Trump 48. 656 likely voters. Sampling error plus or minus 3.8%. Again, the cardinal sin of not including third-party candidates in a state where there are freaking third-party candidates. And again, Nate. Here's Nate. New York Times. You ready? Ooh. Biden 49, Trump 44. And in their defense, I will say that was in the beginning of October, but that was horse. And you know it because we polled in the beginning of October and it was Trump plus 10. Trump plus 8. Sorry, September was Trump plus 10. Trump plus 8 was October. And then we went out after the fake Fox News poll and we conducted another 400 because Fox was Biden plus 3. We conducted another 400 responses. We on air live talked about them, and I had to manipulate the data to get Biden 4 to 6 points away. Away, not leading, away. 661 likely voters, plus or minus 4.3%. Iowa, last state here, because we're talking about the Midwest today. New York Times, Siena. Biden 46. Trump 43. October 21st of this year. 753 likely voters, plus or minus 3.9%. Again, let me say that again. Biden plus 3 with Trump at 43%. Just a few days away from Ann Seltzer, who released the Iowa poll for the Des Moines Register that was Trump plus 7. Friends, Donald Trump won the state of Iowa 53.24% to 44.99%. He won it by over 8 points. And this joker, this scam artist, had a Biden plus 3 a few days before the election. And in fact, a month before, he released another poll, 501 likely voters in Iowa, plus or minus 5%, on September 24th, it was also Biden plus 3. Scam, man. 45-42. So in the course of a month, with only a few more days left, each candidate only ticked up one single percentage point, and we're still mired in the mid-40s. Oh no, friends. Oh no. No. That's a scam. He's a scam artist. Quinnipiac, Trump 47, Trump 47, Biden 46. Trump plus 1 in a state he would go on to win by roughly 9 points. 1,225 likely voters, sampling error 2.8%. So even the polls that gave Trump a 1-point edge, he was going to eke out Iowa, is that the actual margin was outside of the sampling error. Monmouth also herded to a Trump plus 1 in their final poll released on the 21st of October. 501 registered voters, 4.4% sampling error. But let me just say this right now, make this very clear. Registered voters would not have helped Democrats any in the state of Iowa. It doesn't get any prettier for them. It just doesn't. Less than a month before, they had Trump by 6 in Iowa. But they herded like a bunch of sheep cowards to a Trump plus 1. RABA research, whatever the hell that is. Does anybody know what that is? RABA research. Does anybody know who the hell this is? Biden plus 4. October 27th. No third parties. So now that we ran through the list of scumbags, all right, we will provide an update on the recounts when we come back. All right. North Carolina is done and called. So don't worry about that if you're a Trump supporter. Okay. It is done. It's called. It's over. 501 isn't that small for Iowa. Iowa's not that big. So there's not that many votes in Iowa. So the smaller the population, okay, and we're talking about maybe 1.7 million votes almost cast in the state of Iowa, okay, 1,686,019 votes. All right. If it's a smaller electorate, then you can get away with smaller sample sizes. In fact, it will be very hard to collect larger sample sizes in smaller populations. So 501 is okay in Iowa. That's all right. We have minimum sample sizes. That's why I'm saying to you, Quinnipiac claiming they collected 1,225 likely voters in a state where there's only less than 1.7 million votes cast and got the result that wrong is very serious. It really does mean that, and not just because one time you can have a miss. You know, it happens to everybody, but it happened to them everywhere. It happened to these people everywhere. It happened to Nate everywhere. It happened to Fox News everywhere. It happened to ABC, Washington Post everywhere. And the only reason why Fox, by the way, the only reason why they didn't get a worse record is because they didn't poll everywhere. And they didn't poll as much as some of these other news outlets. They didn't. They got North Carolina egregiously wrong. They got Iowa egregiously wrong. They heard it at the last minute to a +3. That was not good enough for a +8. Like I said, guys, for those who also want to talk more in depth about sampling errors and how do you respond to that, where are the Trump +15s in Iowa? Where are the Trump +12s, the Trump +13s in Florida? There should have been a Trump +8 if he won by that much. Where are the outliers that swing both sides of the sampling error? They don't exist. In Ohio, where's there should have been Trump +12s, Trump +13. There wasn't. There wasn't. All of these errors went in one direction again. Again. That is not even statistically possible, folks. It's not even possible. And we will take a deeper look at Maine's when we come back. It really underscores everything. Maine is 2nd congressional district, wraps up almost all of their issues into one. I mean, it's crazy. This doesn't happen. In Pennsylvania, it was so close. Where are the Trump plus 3s and 4s? And I'm not talking about just the polls that get dismissed or attacked or smeared. Where is the ABC Washington Post outlier? Trump plus 5 in Pennsylvania. Look how close Wisconsin is. Where's the Trump plus 6? Instead, we got Biden plus 17. Nate Cohen throwing around everywhere routinely. I mean, it's really kind of stunning how ABC and the Washington Post and Nate Cohen at the New York Times consistently come up with the same margins roughly across each of these states. It's really kind of amazing. It's really amazing. It's almost like they use the same damn data set, only adjusted for demographics differently. That's what it looks like to me, in truth. I mean, 52-41, 51-41, 52-41, 52-43. I mean, and then to be that wrong. So if they were accurate on the state of the race, it would not be so suspect. But they were wrong. They were not accurate. All right? And he was wrong about total turnout. He was wrong. He overestimated total turnout. All right? And when we get back, yes, we will go over the recount stuff. All right? North Carolina, I'll explain that when we come back from the break. All right? And then I'll wade back into them real quick. I was going to save something for that, but we're almost to the 1 hour break already. So let me take the 30-second and we'll be back. Don't forget, sign up for that newsletter that's in the video description right now, because they're not going to let me go state by state by state. Nail these people over and over again. Sign up to the newsletter for the Inside the Numbers newsletter. All right. And then, of course, the best way to support the show is to subscribe to PPD, which you could do, and many of you are doing. We love you for it. You could do by going to ppdnews.us/subscribe. ppdnews.us/subscribe. Okay. And then always, appreciate liking the Facebook button page and subscribe on YouTube. All right. I tell you to follow us on Twitter at PPD still for the best, latest data journalism. But unfortunately, we are still suspended without cause and without response, as is Laura, who is still suspended without cause, without response. I mean, they will not even respond to explain what in the hell is going on. All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds. And we're back to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. Follow me on Twitter at Peoples_Pundit. And I'm not going to roll through the rest of the stuff that I rolled through before, since we did already. It is a beautiful, cold, chilly day, which is why we built here. I love it. I love it. I do. But it's much colder in a state called Michigan, where they have reversed the Wayne County certification and signed affidavits that they were bullied, threatened, doxxed, etc., etc., etc. All right? This is where we've come, folks. This is where we are now, where somebody can say, you know what? And there are problems with the poll books everywhere. It's not just Wayne County, so you really shouldn't just pick on Wayne County, but they are repeat offenders. They want to know why they keep getting picked on, because you're the one with a reputation for fraud, as is your colleagues in Philadelphia, as are your colleagues in Milwaukee. I mean, let's not pretend like you're freaking Girl and Boy Scouts who run around selling cookies in your spare time. You're full of crap. You are electioneers on Tuesday. You double as Democratic activists on Thursday. You're willing to do anything and everything to give your party power. So don't sit there acting like you have some kind of personally offended or outraged. When they bring up racism, and Laura and I were talking about this before the show, when they bring up racism, you know you got it. You know you're onto something, because nobody is talking about whether or not we're going to count votes based on the color of somebody's skin. I gave you lists And I did. We did. We showed the canvas. We absolutely made it available to them. These people should not have cast a ballot. Please tell me whether or not they're in the poll books. I don't care what color they are. I don't know anybody else who cares what color they are. I care they cast a ballot, and yet for some reason they've been deceased for years, or they have moved and no longer live there. I mean, I'm looking at a couple right now, that I could go through here. Well, like I said, we gave them, here's a guy, okay? And like I said, it's not only Wayne, all right? Genesee County, 2nd Precinct. This guy not only is dead, he moved to Massachusetts years ago. He died on November 6th, ironically, 2011. I mean, it's way worse than a native Michigander who just lived in Michigan his whole life and then died in Michigan, and somehow something got screwed up and he cast a ballot. This guy was supposed to be a change of address flag first, and then he should have been taken, and then a deceased flag. But instead, he's not. Here's his obituary right here. Here's his dignity memorial. Oh my God. Findagrave.com. Here's another one. This is not funny, because we look and we see, what can we find the death certificate? And then is there a memorial? Is there an obit that matches? Because obits are really just confirmations. Okay. Then it is very possible that somebody could have the same name. So you have to be very careful. It's absolutely true. Even live in the same area. All right. And sometimes these poll books get that messed up. All right. But there's way too many of them. And it warrants the canvassing committee going and saying, whoa, what is going on here? We shouldn't certify these results until we go over this. And again, it's not just Wayne. That's why it really does need to be statewide audits in all of these places. It's not just Wayne. It's a little bit here. It's a little bit there. It's a little bit everywhere. It's just that Wayne is such a high population center. And it's also the case that the dirty rolls in blue areas disproportionately represent the dirty rolls. Blue areas disproportionately represent the dirty rolls. So states all have a hard time because states have a tough time keeping up with death records, keeping up with change of address flags. I've explained this to you before. When you move, right? When you leave a state, you go, you close on your new house, you get moving company, you put the family in the car, you go across country, you're worried about making sure all of this is coordinated correctly. You're making sure you got new furniture. If you need new furniture, you have so much on your mind. You got to make it to the lawyer to close on time, right? Did the inspector get in there? Is State Farm going to get my home insurance to the bank in time so we can close at 10 a.m. on Friday? This is the stuff you're worried about. The last thing you're worried about is calling the Secretary of State or the supervisor of election in the local area you previously lived in your previous address. The last thing you are worried about is, yes, I'm calling. My name is Rich Barris. I used to live here, here, here. Can you take me off the voter rolls? I have moved to another state. Same thing when your parents die, when your grandparents die. You're getting your funeral arrangements together. Oh my God, I lost my mother. I lost my father. You grieve. You take care of your kids. You make sure the kids are all right. You explain what death is to them. You explain whatever your beliefs are. You move through it. You get through it as a family. You grieve. And when it's time to move on, you don't think, you know what? I forgot to call the Secretary of State, or I forgot to call the supervisor of election, or I forgot to call the county registrar and tell them mom is gone. So it's an imperfect system, and it takes time. They're always late on it. But it is possible that they have the same name from a different person, and they haven't gotten it, or they duplicated it. It happens a lot. And anyone who tells you it didn't happen is lying to you, which is why it didn't surprise me at all. The Wild West out there in Nevada, it didn't surprise me at all that, what's his name, Lexall goes to the microphone and says 15,000 people moved out of the state of Nevada. Yet still their ballots were counted. Absolutely, it could happen. Absolutely, it does happen. And it's nothing wrong for the canvassing board. It's nothing to do with anybody's race, their color, their creed, anything. It has to do with whether they were eligible to vote. And then, who the hell did all of this? Is the real question here. Who did it? It certainly wasn't Mr. Abbott. Who did it for Mr. Abbott? That's the question. First question is, did this vote count? And here's a whole freaking list you have to go through. Did these votes count? And then the second question is, who did this? Who tried to submit these ballots? And then, believe me, that opens up a whole other can of worms. How come these clerks keep coming up over and over again? Why didn't anybody at these offices stop this or catch this? If this voter was inactive, how did they reactivate? You're supposed to have to update your information in most of these states. And this is why it was so dangerous to put a moratorium on these election integrity laws. Because it does happen. We're not perfect. We're not even moral. That's why there are laws on the books to stop people from doing things that we know are not good to each other, that we know may not be right. We don't have laws because human beings are perfect people, because we're angels. So I'm glad that they reversed it. I'm glad they are, because they were given ample evidence in the forms of actual lists, in the forms of affidavits. They were given ample evidence where if they would have certified those results, it would have been a catastrophe. You know, talking to somebody yesterday, it's like, oh my God, what a bunch of cowards. You know, they can't stand up to this. Because why? They're afraid the media is going to attack them. There were men who stormed a beach at Normandy. And when the doors came down, they stepped off it, even though they knew the first row or two were going to get it right off the jump. Yet they still did it. You don't have the courage to stand up to the media? I don't know. I'm sorry. That's like, you're not even in the same realm. You're not even in the same ballpark. Because if you don't do it now and answer these questions now, number one, Joe Biden will be an illegitimate president to half of the country. And we can't survive like that. We just went through 4 years of half the country thinking Trump was illegitimate. I've said this over and over. We can't survive like this. These supposedly smart people are too stupid to realize what is going to happen to us. This will turn into something dark very quick. That's number one. And number two, I submit to all of you people who are too cowardly to stand up now, because what they care about is what all politicians care about: political defeat. If you don't do it now, you will be defeated anyway. It's Trump today and you tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's Trump today and you tomorrow. You and your friends. Let it go, and that's it. And right, Laura, and just the minute they start bringing up race, running those videos, we know you, Will Hartman. You're going to end up in the history books with Jim Crow. The minute you start hearing crap like that, you know you're on it. You know you're on target. You're right on target. Absolutely. No doubt. Because nobody said anything about that. Nobody said anything about race. You were asked to answer for a specific instance, a specific allegation, a specific record, a specific book. Nobody brought up race. You bring it up because you can't answer the question. That's why you bring it up. So press conference, which is why we're going to end a little bit early today, a little bit later. Press conference by Trump campaign at noon, RNC. All right. Drum roll. You hear that? And we'll see what they have to say. But when it comes to the state of Georgia, they're going to try to announce the results of their recount, and they will do that today. But that doesn't really matter. So I'm not saying it matters, but it did not address, and this is where it's actually worse than the initial. It's like the cover up is worse than the crime. This recount, this attempt at a recount to like placate people is worse than the actual crime because it did not address at all the fundamental grievances. It did not address specific allegations at all. They just tried to do what I told you they would try to do, which is refeed the same crap through the same crappy, untrustworthy systems. That's it. And whether or not they're untrustworthy remains to be seen. That's not the point. The point is people don't trust them. People don't. 3/4 of the Republican Party and almost half of independents in the state of Georgia think the election was robbed, according to a new poll, a poll of somebody who I actually trust. That's not good. You cannot continue like that. You have to answer those people. That's what self-governance is all about. Responding to grievances. You can't just paper over it and move on. The Secretary of State, Crappyberg, whatever his name is, Crappyfurt, whatever, he should just resign. It's just at the point where nobody has any faith in him. As a Republican, I could say I may not like the results, but I'm pretty confident that I can, that they were conducted with integrity. No, you're not. That is a lie, and you know it's a lie. You're not confident at all. You didn't oversee anything. It was complete mayhem over there, down there, and you had no idea there was thousands of ballots here. You had no idea whether this hard drive contained the correct amount of votes. You had no idea whether or not absentee ballots were actually legitimate. You have no idea. So do not insult everyone's intelligence, pretending like you personally oversaw the whole damn thing and you can personally vouch for every single ballot, because you cannot. In Georgia, you treated two different kinds of voters differently under the law. One was subjected to verification procedures. The other one was not. In many precincts, one that was allowed oversight, the other was not. Idea you can put some blanket stamp over it all. You weren't even involved. Folks, let me tell you how incompetent this idiot was. He didn't even know how many votes the state had left. He had no clue. He would give us numbers that were totally different 2 hours later. But they were confident. Oh, no, there's only 20,000 ballots left statewide. Actually, it was lower than that first. There's only 15,000 ballots left to count in the state of Georgia. That was like the day after the election. And then it was an hour later. We have 15,000 more, 20,000 more. He had no idea. The guy was lost in the sauce. He's a chode who got rolled. He's a Mitt Romney kind of coward-like Republican. He had no idea what was going on. He had no clue. He was out to lunch, man. Him and Brian Kemp are out to lunch. And by the way, like I said, to repeat it again in Georgia, Stacey Abrams was demanding a recount. The media was backing her on it when the margin was more than double what Biden's is over Trump right now. So give me a break. Give me a break. All right? It's totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Yes, the truth is the recount could impact the runoff threshold. It could. We'll just have to see, but not this recount, I don't think. So what they really need is the kind of a recount that the Trump campaign is asking for. That's whether or not it changes the result. It's the only thing that will put more minds at ease. Right now, Georgians think that election was rigged. They think it was rigged. You're going to move forward when the state thinks it was stolen? Are you serious? Let us never lecture anyone else again about integrity. Think back to all the crap you hear every time Vladimir Putin wins in a landslide. He stole the election. He stole it. First of all, why would Vladimir Putin need to steal the election? He's like ridiculously popular. Why would he even need to steal it? Number two, why don't you worry about your own damn voting systems before you get into everybody else's business? And again, we brought this up yesterday, but you got to get a kick out of the Canadians, who we've treated like second-class Westerners for years. And they're like, idiots, suckers, who's developed now, right? I mean, this is unbelievable. You got to give it to them. You can't even take it away from them. It's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. Let them have it. They deserve it. They've never been subjected to this. How stupid do we look now? Right, Lord, how foolish we look. And we do. How stupid do we look to the rest of the world now? Giving people lectures about election integrity and self-governance and democracy. You got to be kidding. They'll never want to hear that crap ever again. Tell you that, because there was similar rumblings during the Bush v. Gore recount in 2000. And it wasn't even this bad. We were talking about one county and hanging chads. Here we're talking about multiple states. They all have certain things in common. They all pulled the same crap on election day. They stopped counting. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be smug, that's right, Laura. If you're going to be smug and you're going to look down on the rest of the world, then you better be able to back it up with your own actions. And that's what we did here. That's what we've done to ourselves here. And everybody's just kind of laughing at it like, oh, stupid Americans, arrogant Americans, lecture us over this crap. They can't even count a ballot correctly, right? Stupid Americans. Unbelievable. Unreal. You can't paper over this stuff, you know? And it's even worse, actually, Laura, because for 4 years, the media and the country and the world, they were laughing at us because the corporate America and intelligence America, right? So the intelligence communities partnered with corporate America to lie to their population, to wage a disinformation campaign, the dark arts of intel, of clandestine operations. They turned it all on their own population, lying to them. They went 4 years with that crap, 3 years in full, 2.5 years with a special counsel over it, all to get here with allegations of massive fraud. I mean, we just look third world. We look totally, this is the stuff that happens in a third world country. This is not the stuff that happens in the beacon of democracy. That shining city on a hill. What a load of crap. That is just not true. Americans, look, our ideas are exceptional. Our identity, our American, our national identity, which is not a race or what, it's their ideas. That's what makes up the nation, right? If you were like Benedict Anderson and you were trying to define what is the nation, America, right? It would be ideas. Those ideas are exceptional. But unfortunately, we are living in an era, and have been for a while, where the people don't live up to those ideas. They don't measure up to them. And that's from, the top on down, because, tone from the top, it's called, right? In the business world, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but, in the rest of the world, and in the real world where you have to have a job, not like a politician, it's called tone from the top. All right. So there's certain standards. It'll just trickle its way down to the population. You have leaders that are pieces of garbage, then their followers will be pieces of garbage. We don't live up to those ideas. So I don't know how we look down. America is exceptional. It is. But the people who run it are not. Because they're not living up to the ideas that make American exceptionalism. That really make up the American national identity. I mean, we've basically forsaken a lot of them and abandoned them. So that's really it. SWAT teams are preparing to abduct and silence Laura. Probably. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked anymore. I'll tell you that. These people are worse than the Stalin secret police. They are. I mean, they have more powerful tools. The Stalin secret police only had guns and men, guns and manpower. You know what I'm saying? These people got a lot worse than that. I mean, they could wage misinformation campaigns, but what are you going to do? Like run down the street with a bunch of pamphlets and throw them in the air out of the APC down the road? I mean, that was the extent of the bullhorn. Do not listen to Rich and Laura. Their facts are disputed. Right? Do not listen to Rich and Laura. Their facts are disputed. Nate Cohn really is an accurate pollster. Right? That's Nate Silver is not a fraud. Don't listen to Rich. That's about the only thing they could do. That's it. That's easy to handle compared to what these guys got. This is terrifying crap. Terrifying. All right, it's 11:03 when we come back. All right. Update. Did you do that? Yeah. Laura's saying, did you give them the Georgia update or did I distract? Well, we're on air right now, so I don't know if they've released it. All right. But it is coming today. But in the end, we'll be off the air when the real update. And we'll talk more about it tomorrow. There's also something I'd like to talk to you about tomorrow, because if Trump does have to leave, then sadly, there's progress in this country that's very important to me. And I want to talk to you guys about it a little bit tomorrow. I keep getting sidetracked with all of the other stuff that's going on, but I think it is important to stop and take notice of the measures that this administration have the measures they have taken to combat opiate abuse in this country and like the scourge of opiate addiction. And it's very important to me. It's very personal to me. And it's something that we're not even talking about right now. Sadly, it wasn't part of the campaign that much at all. But, if you look at the people surrounding Joe Biden, these people are lobby for pharma. So under Trump, you had not only measures put in place to combat this stuff, and then, criminal justice reforms, not only at the federal level, but like a movement, because he put it at the forefront that gave people more. I mean, America was a nation of second chances, right? Wyatt Earp was a drunk and a horse thief. And later he became the most famous lawman in the West, right? America has always been a place of second chances. If you look at the people that are surrounding Joe Biden, these are the people who not only are not going to hold anyone accountable, or they will not address those issues. They are part of the problem, right? So under Trump, we had basically holding these pharmaceutical companies accountable to whatever extent they could be. We had programs to re-entry into society for people who had addiction issues, second chances here. So, kind of thing. That's going to go out the wayside if you look at Biden's team. These are the people who prey on this kind of thing. I mean, it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. When all is said and done, there's really two big things that Trump focused on with, I'm a wonk, I guess. So a lot of people don't care always about these kinds of issues. But opioid abuse, very important and personal to me. And then secondly, space. And there's no doubt that Biden will do what Obama did, which is dismantle the space program. So there will be no landing pad on Mars anymore. The lunar landing pad will be gone. and because that's what the lunar landing pad is for, is a jump-off point to Mars. That'll be the end of that. And that'll move more. We'll have to rely more on Elon and the rest of them. Whereas before, it was just a partnership. And Trump was like, look, the government's going to be here for companies like you. We're going to keep you safe. And we're going to do this together. With Biden, he's going to say, I need this money. Do it on your own. I'm sorry, but I need the money to offset the Green New Deal. NASA's done. Just like Obama said, I'm sorry, NASA, I need to pay for Obamacare. It's gone. So the Space Council will be disassembled, disbanded, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the alternative is, that's Laura's right, bringing this up right here. So Trump addressed all of these pill mills, and Biden is surrounding himself with the pill pushers. That's a sad ass reality. All right. So here we go. Let's take our 1 hour break here, even though I went over a little bit, and we are going to cut out a little bit early because I want you all to catch that press conference. I don't know everything of what they're going to say, but I have some pretty good idea. That'll be in addition to what I was just talking about before. All right. That will be part of what we talk about tomorrow. Okay. And then also too, we're probably going to go through which state. Maybe we'll do multiple states. Maybe we'll do a big sample, including all of these states, and weight them demographically so we can say, I just don't trust the morning consults of the world. I don't trust Nate, who's going to be like the worst pollster of 2020. I don't trust Quinnipiac. I don't trust Ipsos Reuters to tell us how we feel about the post-election process. I want to find out who thinks this election had integrity and who didn't, who's willing to move forward and who is not. Because we're getting into very dangerous times. And we simply just can't lie, throw out some fake-ass poll, and think we're going to move on. We need to get a real measure here of how serious this is this time. You're not going to deny half the country their duly elected right to govern for 4 years. And then for better or worse, have them believe that another 4 was stolen from them. And then they're just going to quietly move on and shut up. That's not going to happen. I don't know how anyone can think otherwise. This is going to spiral out of control. And we need to get at least some kind of we need to throw the lasso, man, get a grip on it and see how bad it really is. All right. So anyway, you're watching Inside the Numbers. When we're on break, don't forget to like the Facebook page, subscribe to People's Pundit Daily on YouTube. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter right here. I am the People's Pundit at People's_Pundit. All right. And you can, best way to support the show is to subscribe to PPD, which you could do by going to ppdnews.us/subscribe. ppdnews.us/subscribe. Later today, we got a bunch of indicators we got to go out. Jobless claims, Philly Fed manufacturing index, existing home sales, and then the shy Trump indicators will be up soon on PPD. So we're going to say, look, who were the shy voters? Where did we see them? Maybe how can we reach them in the future? And why can't these guys reach them? And worse, didn't they really know they were there all along? And they just chose to ignore them on purpose? They must have. There's just no way you can come up with just phony Biden plus 17s without it. So voter suppression polls by intentional incompetence. That's kind of the track I'm on right now. You can claim incompetence later, or a very average mistake a pollster makes. I call BS. We've been back in 2 minutes.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a night, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
All right, and we're back to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. Follow me on Twitter at Peoples_Pundit. Don't forget to like the page on Facebook, People's Pundit Daily, and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. We'll let you know when we're about to go live. Got something pretty darn interesting over the break that, and I didn't ask if I could share it just yet, but we're going to share it. All right. I mean, they gave it to me for a reason, I suppose. So, like I said, I would like to, if you guys want to do, you let me know, but I would like to do another publicly funded poll, and we'll put it up on Big Data Poll. All right. There's a little kid. Hold on, I'm just going to remove you real quick. All right, Laura, but that's easy, so I can let you in if you want to say something. Just bing me on the private chat, and I'll let you in. All right, but check this out, guys. This is what I'm talking about. I want to conduct another poll. If you guys want to do it, you can go to the Venmo, PayPal. If we raise enough, then I'll do it. If we don't, then I'll give it back. It's that simple. We'll refund you. But it's in the descriptions, by the way, now. The paypal.me/People's Pundit, Venmo.com/People's Pundit, because I want to do something like this. Here's Rasmussen. All right. And he said, sent it to me, basically, Republicans are ready to rumble, based on what you know now. Should President Trump concede to Joe Biden? Yes, 61, no, 33. But look at the Republicans, 57, no, 12% of Democrats, no, and 30% of independents. Do you and your friends think Trump should concede? Here you go. Do your friends and neighbors think Trump should concede? And that's 51, yes. All right. How likely is it that Democrats stole votes or destroyed pro-Trump ballots in several states to ensure that Biden would win? 36% of the country think it's very likely. Another 11% think it's somewhat likely. All right. Just for anyone who thinks that is not a bad number, understand that only about a third of the colonists supported the revolution. Okay. That's the dangerous territory we're in right now. That is a problem. And I would personally like, I know the guys over there, love the guys over there, but I personally, all right, would like to do this myself. All right. I would like to do this myself in order to get my own gauge on what I think is happening right now. Or I'll tell you right now, I mean, the bottom line is 36% thinking it's somewhat, very likely that Democrats stole or destroyed ballots, stole votes or destroyed pro-Trump ballots in several key states. That's a serious problem. A third of the country says they should not concede. I actually think it's probably more than that. I do. I don't know, but I'd like to find out. I would like to find out myself. As one of the few guys who got this election anywhere near right, I want to get to the truth on this. I want to get to the truth because I'll tell you right now, Laura and I haven't spoken to too many people who don't think that something happened here. And that's a serious problem. We just can't have that. We can't have that. And state legislatures should understand what that means. They should have something that they can rely on, to say, maybe it's a bad idea. That's a national poll, by the way. What about in Michigan? What about in Georgia? What about in Pennsylvania? What about in Wisconsin? Right? That's it. I mean, I think that we need good information like that. All right. All right. Let me circle back real quick to Maine's 2nd Congressional District because it really is the epitome of everything I've been talking about for months, years, but on the show for months, right? Which is that different groups of people respond to different modes at different rates. Different modes of data collection with polling at different rates. And that it can take time to reach some of these people. Not only is it about education, like they thought they could just address after 2016, cover up and keep going. 2018 made it clear that was not the case. And they just steamrolled arguments like mine. Not steamroll. They didn't, because that would require them actually addressing or having some kind of counter to them that made sense. And that's not what they did. They just ignored it, moved on, and tried to gaslight you. Region matters. Geography matters because culture matters, and the culture dictates our beliefs. Different groups of people believe in sharing their opinions truthfully, and some don't. All right? And Maine's 2nd Congressional District is a perfect example of that. It's also a perfect example of how wrong everyone always is and how it's always in one direction. It's a perfect example of why we shouldn't smear and attack outliers who don't run with the herd like a bunch of groupthink morons. And instead, they should be celebrated and expected. Because you're supposed to have a mathematical mind. And outliers should be expected without getting into the weeds. Every 20 to 25 polls, you should see something way outside of the norm. But we don't. Everybody runs with the herd. All right? And then, of course, different modes reach different people, like I said, at different rates. And this mode reached others at better rates. For the second cycle in a row now, there has been one polling firm who has polled locally their area and got it right. Oh, and the third thing is there are too many polls and not enough pollsters, which dovetails off of this. You should not wade into somebody else's territory and pretend you know better than them. And that's what happened in Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Bangor News hired DRI again to conduct a poll for them. There were widely different results, and they were mocked. They were dismissed. They were ignored. They were criticized. They were attacked. And here we have it. Here are final 2-month polling for Maine's 2nd Congressional District. The Bangor Daily News found a very tight race at the end of in the middle of the month of August. Very small samples here, you'll see, but that again it's not crazy in a place like the 2nd Congressional District. There just aren't that many people there. All right. So if you get 250 likely voters, it means you probably spoke to about 300 and change, maybe whatever it is. All right. In a month later, Quinnipiac claims to have polled 476 likely voters, almost double the sample size as Bangor Daily News. All right. And for those who don't know, DRI is Bangor Daily News. All right. They're a firm called DRI Critical Insights, I believe it's called, right? Just to make sure I get that right. All right. And they not only nailed it, got it right, but they were alone in projecting the winner. All right. Donald Trump won. Well, we'll talk about how much he won this district by in a second. But Quinnipiac claimed to find a completely different race. Biden plus 9 in Maine's 2nd congressional district. 2 days later, the New York Times releases a poll, 312 likely voters, and they come up with Biden plus 2. Suffolk University, 3 days later, Biden plus 2. Amazing, right? Colby College, 4 days later, Biden plus 3. All very herd-like, right? What's the consensus, Nate the Slimer Silver will tell you. That's the consensus. There should be no such thing as a consensus in polling. It is data research, and everyone who participates in different modes should get varying results. It should not be the case that everyone herds in the same direction, especially people who conduct surveys using different modes, because, say it with me, different groups of people respond to different modes of collection at different rates. The Bangor Daily News then conducted their October poll, and it was Trump plus 8. 49 Trump, 41 Biden. Yet, still, throughout the month of October, big shots come in. Some big shots, some unknowns, basically unknowns. Pan Atlantic. You're wrong. You were right in 2016. By the way, they also had Susan Collins competitive, where Susan Collins didn't lead in a single, and not just in the 2nd congressional district. They had Collins with a bigger lead than Trump. I think it was like 52, 53 instead of 49. And then trailing by less in the 1st congressional district. Much less. But they still had Collins tied. All right. We'll talk about that in a second too. But Collins would, of course, go on to win, and win pretty easily. All right. But not a single poll had Collins up in the final 2 months, I believe. I'm not sure she was up at all. But anyway, Pan Atlantic Research, October 15th, another 300 likely voter roughly sample, 47% Biden, 43% Trump. Vastly different. Biden plus 4. Vastly different from the Bangor Daily News DRI Critical Insights poll. That was Trump plus 8. Colby College. Who? I don't know. Colby College. You don't know who they are? Come on. That's your fault. Biden plus 4. Just like Pan Atlantic. Get over it. Survey USA. Increasingly a crappier poll. And they used to be pretty good years ago. They are really, Robert was right about that. Barnes, he was right. They're getting really bad. And they're just getting worse as time goes on. And the misses are getting more and more inexplicable and bigger. All right. Survey USA, Biden 48, Trump 45, Biden plus 3. You're wrong, Bangor. You're wrong. You see? Trump's losing his base. Yeah, I know about that one poll. That's one poll. They're an outlier. We don't really know. DRI. We don't really. Come on. That's just an online poll. Emerson Spencer weighs in. Biden 50. Trump 43. Biden plus 3. So, Bangor Daily News, Trump plus 8. Followed by 4 polls, 3 being Biden plus 3 on the money, and 1 being Biden plus 4. All very similar, running with the narrative that the New York Times set in September, which was that it's not a dead even or, slightly, a dead even rate. Biden has a slight edge. And then the narrative all through the month of October was what, folks? That Biden was starting to pull away, right? We had the first debate. Biden was starting to pull away now. What a load of crap. In truth, Trump went on to win Maine's 2nd congressional district 52.4 to 44.7. Basically, a Trump plus 8. It says the Maine 2nd congressional district says everything about what we have been talking about all along. All along. These mistakes are only in one way. that it is in fact true that different voters, different people respond to different data collection modes at different rates. And that the Nates and the New York Times of the world know that. There has been ample evidence to suggest that when others with better track records ran against the herd with different modes, they were dismissed as running outside of a consent. They made up this new freaking word for it and everything. That's not the consensus. You mean you're not running with the herd? You're not herding. You're not supporting the narrative, which is fake, which is untrue, which is deception, misinformation. In truth, when the Bangor Daily News poll came out in early October, it should have been a warning sign, like Robert and I told you it was, that we're headed for one of the biggest poll misses since 1947, when Seltzer came out in Iowa. Monmouth had just polled the race a few weeks earlier and found a similar result, not as big, but a similar result. And yet somehow when he polls during the same duration as Ann, she comes up with a +7 and he comes up with Trump slipping in Iowa and Biden's about to take the lead, even though he had a very solid lead for Trump 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. That's called running with the herd. That's mirroring. That's a narrative. That's disinformation. That is not reality. That's not data collection. It's suppression. Everybody who runs against the herd gets smeared, defamed, dismissed, attacked, and then they turn out to be right. Anybody give them an apology? You think if we called the guys over at DRI right now, they'd say, yeah, you know what? You know what? Nate Cohn called. Or other people called. Seltzer herself was attacked. She used to get glowing reviews from the Slimer and his fake model and fake pollster scorecard. She refused to put her head up on the wall of shame this year. But when she came out with that poll, it was very clear. The Midwest polling is wrong. We've been down this road before. We know what's going to happen. The Midwest polling is wrong. And instead, they attacked her. They attacked her. Once a great gold standard. The best in the business. Total scam. That's what I'm trying to explain to all of you guys. It's all a total scam. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, look, guys. I mean, look, you want to be lied to. Because I like everyone who comes in here. We have to figure out some way to start a dialogue again with each other. Because right now, that's why we call them the big media hate machine. They make it so, they don't want you talking with, if you're right and you support Trump, they don't want you talking, and I mean talking, with a Biden supporter. If you are somebody who is anti-Antifa person, or you're some kind of right-wing activist of some kind, they don't want you sitting down and talking to anybody from Black Lives Matter. They want you screaming at each other and hating each other, pulling each other apart. And then that's why they're feeding one side's skepticism when it comes to this crap. They're using these tools. These are being used as tools. Feed one side's skepticism. Feed another one's confirmation bias. Because sadly, the truth is, there are a lot of people on the left who still won't care that they're being lied to. As long as you keep feeding their confirmation bias, they're happy to believe Biden was up in Maine's 2nd Congressional District. They're happy to believe the New York Times was right, Biden had a 6-point lead in Florida. So did Gillum, for that matter. They're happy to believe that Iowa was a close race, slipping away from Trump. They're happy to believe the fake polls that Ohio was ever close. They're getting fed what they want to hear. And as humans, we're all subject to confirmation bias. We like our stuff to be, we like our stuff to be, our own beliefs to be affirmed and reaffirmed by those around us. But yeah, and like Laura's saying right now, I mean, we want people to talk again. And if you like being lied to, then I can't help you. You're going to have to come to a point in your own personal growth where you're going to realize that you're essentially a hooker who is being pimped by the pimp. Like you are being used. You are allowing yourself to be pimped by media pimps, dude. That's what you guys are doing to yourselves. Because they don't value you. They'll smack you around when you get out of line too. But they'll give you like these fake polls are like your drugs. They'll keep you high so you can keep being their little slut. And that's what they do. They feed you this crap. They feed you these Biden 17s to keep you high on cloud 9. So you're happy. But we would like to see everyone come off of that and start to talk again. Because that's what they don't want you for no other reason than that's what they don't want you to do. Because for people on the right, I think you'd be surprised how many people on the left just don't know certain things that you dislike about the media and don't know certain things that you may dislike about a party. Like, I can't tell you how many tweets I saw from supposedly smart people that really did not know that Joe Biden would probably lock us down again and be open to lockdowns. That's how much they can deceive somebody if they have your full attention and they're not talking and we're not talking to each other. Because maybe if we were really truly engaged in talking to each other, then maybe those people would have known that. But instead, they're just watching CNN, MSNBC. And again, that doctor lady, what's her name? She's a great example of that. This is supposedly an educated woman. She was very easily deceived. Very easily deceived. And George, I appreciate that. Super chat for that. Use the, and we will put that towards that, George. But if you want to do the poll, guys, use the Venmo and PayPals. All right. Why? Because YouTube takes a lot of money. They do. And that's, it's not the best use of your money. They really do. They take an incredible amount. Laura knows. I don't know exactly. I think it's a lot. It's not a PayPal fee or a Venmo fee. It's a lot. Right, Laura? What is it? It's like 30% or something? It's a lot. I don't know. But I appreciate that, though, George, and we will. All right? So that's really where we're at. But, yeah, I mean, I'd like to do that, I don't think GoFundMe is a good idea. They remove too many people. All right. So I think that it would put us, it would do more to put a bullseye on us. That's why during the Public Polling Project, we went over on Fridays. I was like, this is what we have. This is what we did. This is how much we need. This is what we put in, right? Then we had to do it that way because it's 30%, the steward said. I mean, it's a lot, guys. No kidding. No kidding. And they are saying now we're eligible for merch. So I know a lot of people wanted merch. We can get little People's Pundit Daily coffee cups. I was thinking, what do you think? Or not People's Pundit Daily, but People's Pundit coffee cups. Maybe inside the numbers coffee cups or something. What do you think? That's pretty cool, right? Because I want a hoodie. I want my own. And Laura's like, shirts. I want a shirt. I want a hoodie. I want a coffee cup. So I'm thinking we're going to do that. Hoodies, shirts, and cups, Laura said. That's right. Oh, and maybe, I don't know if YouTube does it because we were talking with a totally different company about this, but pens, it makes sense to have a pen. Mouse pads, yeah, like stuff for nerds that, because I'm like, a data nerd, you know what I mean? So something like, yeah, things that are like that. Dynata, whoops, I shouldn't probably have said their name, but one of the vendors, they send out stuff like, where is it?
But they send really cool stuff, like merch that's for you, like as a thank you, where you get, I don't know, a beach towel. We got a beach bag, right? We should really be doing that for subscribers and stuff. They gave me a little beatbox thing, and it's Bluetooth. It's really cool. So if I have my phone and I want to listen to like YouTube, put on music videos or something like that while I work, which I do a lot, then I put that on and it comes through the little thing. It's just crazy. It's cool. It's really cool. Pocket protectors and slide rules. Man, that's cool. Michael, we don't have to go through it. And if it turns out to be like they take ridiculous percentages, then probably we won't. Right. That's why we were looking into an independent thing. But we've been getting email from them saying, hey, you can get merchandise. And then while I'm on the video, you see the video running here. Sometimes we have a ticker going across the bottom. It could pop up and you could actually see the merchandise right there when we're talking. So it would make it easier for you to do that. Even with the other cooler software that we're going to be moving to, I don't know that we can do that where there's like an actual link in the video on our side. I don't know. Well, something Laura will have to figure out. But with your deck, babe, with your deck, right? Yeah, maybe we'll get Whoopi. I love that idea. Biden +9 Florida poll, right? Or something like that on a coffee mug. Or Biden +17 in Wisconsin, ABC, right? I love that idea. The worst polls of the year on one side of the mug, inside the numbers on the other. I love that. Booted I got. You guys can hear me now again? It totally kicked right off. Just totally booted. That's a hard data line. It didn't glitch at all. I can watch it and monitor it. I don't know what is going on. StreamYard maybe just can't handle the traffic. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. Inside the numbers, inside the mug. I love that idea. That's great. Unless there's like something that's not good for you to drink it out of. I wouldn't want that, But I love the idea of it saying inside the numbers around one side of the mug or something. So maybe if it's like on the inside here, you don't even have to put your mouth there, I got this one. This one says on both. It's a two-sided. It says good morning pumpkin because I call my daughter Pumpkin and I say good morning pumpkin when we wake up. And good morning, my little pumpkin pie. And I guess they went out to the store and they saw good morning pumpkin and they got it. I was like, oh, I love it. And it's got a little top too. So I was thinking there's like, yeah, they love the fake poll idea, Rich, Yeah, I mean, there should be, maybe we could put that on the side of the mug or something. A logo headset. Ooh, yeah. So I am getting earpieces that, like for when I was on Tucker or something, like, or Bannon, right? Or something, other things where the headset really is not the best. One America, on NTD TV. I think I'm going to be on. Laura's got some announcements. I don't know. I think I'm Newsmax. This today, I'll be on with Eric Hunley. Did they bring Eric's show back up yet? Eric was suspended the minute that he said he was going to have me on his show. So let me see if he's back. He looks like he is back. Okay, good. I will be joining Unstructured with Eric Hunley tonight. We had a great conversation for about 30 minutes a week or two ago. And that 30 minutes blazed right by. And we wanted to talk more about, and we will address the recounts and everything, but we wanted to talk more about polling and didn't get a chance to do so. And he had really thoughtful questions. And that half an hour just went so quick. I was like, Laura, reschedule this for another hour because it was good stuff. And then I think it'll be on Newsmax soon. But I'll give you that time when that's done. All right. Let's see. Yeah, they're going to be doing a show this week to talk about polling. The show would air Saturday, it looks like. All right. I don't know if I don't know if Laura wrapped that though. All right. But she'll figure that out and I'll let you know. But either way, that's not live anyway. So I will let you know when that happens. All right. Yeah. The Slimer, maybe Slimer shirts, Slimer the fraud, something like that. Benny Report, 4:30. The Benny Report. Yes. All right. And that's a perfect example. So like when I'm on with the Benny Report, headsets are not appropriate thing, but I want for inside the numbers, I want to keep my headset. I like it. I think it's like part of the look, right? I don't know. You guys tell me if you ever get tired of it, but I want to keep it because I think it's part of the look. I really do. All right. All right. So with that, it's about 11:43. Let's I don't want you guys jumping from one thing to the other, but I have been getting messages today from various people telling me that I really need to watch this press conference. Okay. All right. So on strategy, I don't know. We'll see what's going on, but the bottom line is, people are telling me to look at it. So I don't want to keep you throughout that time. I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm going to go and review it because it does look like most of you like shirts the idea for shirts. Headsets would be cool. They would be more expensive though. I don't know how many people could afford to kick out for something like that, but I guess we could have more high-end stuff, Want world peace, ban Christianity. I didn't mean to put that up there. That was an accident. George, he said, I'll send you. And thanks, George. Appreciate that. You better get ready for attacks like this. Okay. And look, if you don't tweet if you don't want me to put you on. That's part of my disclaimer. But you better get ready for that. Daily Beast already wrote a story about the crippled Republican freshman who won in North Carolina. He is relegated to a wheelchair because he's, I believe, a veteran. All right. But he's a Christian. All right. So basically, they wrote an article attacking him for admitting to trying to convert Jews and Muslims to Christianity. All right. This is the way they're going to feel emboldened to write more pieces like this. All right. The attacks on Christianity are coming. So you better get used to it if you're a Christian. I hate to tell this guy. He must have discovered a new religion that's been around for over 1,000 years called Christianity. All right. Used to be called the Way, but that during the time of the apostles. But now we call it, later was called Christianity after the Roman Empire, right? That is what Christ told his followers to do. I don't know what's so, think about it. I don't know what's so controversial here, right? So during his life, it is true that what he was saying, his word was just for the Jews, right? And I'm not a theologian here, but, but what he was saying was for the Jews. But then after his crucifixion, and if you're a Christian, you believe in the resurrection, he obviously converted Saul of Tarsus, who everyone knows as Paul. He chose him to preach his word to the Gentiles because he was a Roman citizen. He even told Peter in the dream to open the door when Cornelius came a-banging. And Cornelius was the first Roman centurion to convert to Christianity. So I don't know what's so controversial about this. Christians believe they should convert people to Christianity because they're trying to save their souls. Because why? I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody gets to the Father except through me. So they don't believe, even though they may have in common with other religions, tenets, principles, whatever, beliefs. They believe Christ when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So, hello, but that you could expect more of that. And by the way, speaking of which, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving will be running again, so will Christmas. Apparently, they couldn't get their money that they get unless they would agree to put Charlie Brown back on, because you guys will notice these tiny little culture wars that go on. When Trump won, you started to see all of that stuff come back a little bit, right? Because they're pandering, right? And then when Obama was around, you saw it fade. Certain things that were always on were not on, right? They have long had, and they meaning the left, they have long had a problem with Charlie Brown holiday specials, particularly the Thanksgiving and Christmas special. Why? Because Linus focuses on the Christ in his speech in Christmas and in the Christmas special, and Thanksgiving because the tail end of the Thanksgiving special, the first part's a joke, and then the tail end of it tells the story of the Pilgrims. But they explain that America was founded to practice religious freedom. That's why they came here. All right, they landed on Plymouth Rock, and religion was the first thing on their mind. All right. So you just can't have that. You can't have that if you're the left. You just can't have it. It's too close. Separation of church and state. Separation of church, right? That's it. All right. So now that we're coming up on 10 minutes towards the hour, then basically, I guess we'll call it a wrap here. But Charlie Brown supports Trump. Yeah. I mean, look, well, what it does is tell the stories the way they used to tell them before those censorships came, before the change came. And by change, I mean, that basically, you couldn't, now it's offensive to talk about the role that religion had in the founding of the country, but it wasn't always offensive like that. And that was just reality. That was just real. Right. And then they don't want that. They don't want you to know that. So they got rid of it for a real long time. All right, but I'm going to let you go 10 minutes to the hour. So, and I appreciate that, George. All right. It's about 10 minutes toward the hour. I'm going to let you go. But I wasn't always, I think it's fair to say I'm a spiritual person now, but I was not always spiritual. So I have the benefit of at least trying to come at this stuff from both angles. Right. All right. So I'm going to roll. I'm going to kick rocks. Watch this press conference at 12 o'clock. Let's see what they have to say. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. All right. And the recount, like I said, the results will be announced in Georgia, and the media will try. This is the most important thing I want you to take away. The media will try to pretend like that. And that's it. It's over. That means nothing. Many, many candidates in Georgia get that recount, what they're doing now, and then say, you know what? It's not good enough for me. I'm demanding a more thorough recount. And they get it. It happens all the time. Go back and even look at 2018. Stacey Abrams refused to give up, even after they recounted and she was down 45,000 votes, or 48,000 at that time. All right. And she did gain votes during the recount. She just didn't gain that much. She didn't gain enough. All right. So, or whatever, it wasn't even a full one. But the media certainly didn't jump down her back and say, you can't have it. You can't have it. All right. So, yeah, 11:50, I'm going to go. Just remember that. When the media does their thing, don't think that that's the end of Georgia, because it's not going to be the end of Georgia. And then we'll be right back talking about it again on Monday or Tuesday. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. I don't think we have anything huge on. Nope. Tomorrow is a wide open economic calendar, so we won't have anything blocking it. So we will start at 10 a.m. tomorrow. All right. And let's see. Same old stuff. Don't forget to like the page on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. All right. And we will see you tomorrow. All the best, folks. All the best.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends, and spread a little love just for a little fun? I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be. I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive. aggressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
We can get on a plane and take a one-way ride. Steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear for a knife. So give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette.